So, what is the truth about you, first of all? What have I come to know about you that you may not fully have recognized about yourself yet? And the best present I can give you, the best gift I can give you is to tell you what I know to be true about you, what is actually so from my own direct experience. And I know this is true about you, even if I've never met you, because I've already met everybody. By meeting myself, I know who everyone is, what everything is. And there can be nothing outside of my knowing, nothing outside of your knowing, that you are everywhere. So you are not at all limited. You are infinite. You are everywhere that there could be something, and everywhere that there is nothing at all, nothing. You are manifest and unmanifest. You can take infinite shapes and yet never once diminish yourself or divide yourself. You are constantly pouring forth into manifestation as this human being listening to these words, as the one speaking the words, as the understanding or the confusion, as everything sentient and insentient. You are so magnificent and beautiful. The whole cosmos is your creation, is your dance, is your play. There is nothing that can be withheld from you. You are the essence of love. You are here before anything else, and there is nothing else outside of you. You make all these shapes just to play and amuse yourself. And you'll never, ever stop doing that. There's never been a time when you were not here. You have never died, and you've never been born. Only the shapes that you make are born and die. Every now and again, you become visible, and then after a short time, you'll become invisible to our human senses. You're not different to the one speaking these words. You are the one speaking these words right now. There is absolutely nothing that you cannot come to understand and know. You are magnificent. You are glorious. You are beautiful. You are stunning. You delight me and surprise me every single time I see you. I've come to love being with you without any thoughts at all. I don't want to think about you. I don't want to spend any time at all thinking about you, because I don't want to miss a second with you. Every second that I spend thinking about you, I am diminishing my experience of you, and I don't want to do that anymore. And knowing what you are is the greatest love affair I could ever have with you. It's endless. And forever, we will be falling deeper and deeper in love with each other through this satsang, right now, and through every single thing that happens in our lives. Whatever you show up as, I will recognize you. And I hope that you will come to recognize you too. That everything you experience is your own self. Everyone you experience is your own self. There is nothing that is not you, nor could there ever be. You are unlimited and infinite, and your possibilities are glorious. You created everything that we say is beautiful, and everything that we say is not so beautiful. All of it is you coming to understand yourself through all of these various forms and shapes. And when you take the shape of a human being, you have the capacity to think about yourself and to come to understand eventually your source. But there's also an aspect of you that doesn't even need to do that. That which supports the cosmos is you. You've appeared as all of these great sages and saints. You've appeared as the person that you like the most and the person that you like the least. You've appeared as all of these emotions and all of these thoughts. You're also appearing as every single human experience that's ever possible through the ages gone and whatever it is to come. There is absolutely no end to you. For the rest of forever, you will be experiencing yourself ever clearer, firstly as the human being that's listening to these words, as the cosmos itself. The cosmos is your body, is your expression. The universe is your body, is your form, and it is the way that you're expressing yourself and enjoying yourself. I could go on a very long time talking about you because you are my favorite obsession. I hope you know that. When I fell in love with me again, I had to fall in love with you because there isn't any difference. Every day I get to see you in your many forms, your different shapes, and to experience the new ways that you're showing up for me, the new ways that I'm showing up for me too. There is never anything in my heart except love for you because I know what you are, even if you don't yet fully know. I'm always clear on what you really are, that there is nothing other than utter perfection and divinity looking back at me at all times, in all places, is stunningly clear. And you can't help but feel amazed and blessed and have a sense of reverence then when you're walking around looking at Krishna all the time, talking to the Buddha all the time, whether it's a human being or an animal or a plant or something that we call insentient. It's really all you, the pure, infinite presence that you are. You are magnificent. You've created all of this without breaking a sweat. And you're sustaining all of these shapes effortlessly. And throughout the ages, you have come to ever more complex forms and shapes. And as a human being, you began to think about yourself and began to get confused. You began to think that you were the form. You began to identify with certain things. I am this body was the thought that got you really confused. Because once you believed you were this body, then you forgot your magnificent nature. You forgot your omnipotence. And you forgot your omniscience. You forgot everything about yourself, your infinite, formless, glorious reality that you are. And I really hope that these words are inspiring something within you to kind of get back in touch with that. However much you've done that already, there's always more that you can fall in love with what you actually are. There is always deeper that we can fall in love with what is true. And in that, knowing of what you really, really are and could never not be, is gently held this experience of being a human being. So we don't even have to choose one or the other. We don't even have to choose whether to experience myself as someone moving through time and space or as the everything, the nothing and the everything. You get to play with both while you have a human form. And I wonder if you realize just how amazing that is. I wonder if you've really taken that on board, what that really means. You get to rest knowing that you're infinite, that you're deathless, that forms are coming and going inside of you all the time, including the one that's listening right now and the one that's speaking. And at the same time, you can enjoy the relative perspective of being someone, somewhere, with a sense of individuality and a sense of unique desires and goals and all of that, dreams. Whatever makes you you individually is also to be celebrated. I wonder if you realize that you can lose absolutely nothing in this realization, that nothing will be lost of value. The only thing you will lose in this realization is your ability to suffer. based on our believing of thoughts about ourselves? What if you gain all the best bits of your humanness back again? And what if all the bits that you've been trying to get rid of just begin to recede anyway? And in addition, you gain yourself as the universe, the cosmos, and that which it is made out of. I have to tell you that there is absolutely nothing to lose here. There is nothing afterwards that you will turn around and say, I wish I hadn't lost that. And the only thing we lose is the ability to delude ourselves any longer. You don't even have to choose. You get to be somebody also. You get to be someone going through your individual life, playing the role of sister or husband or employee or boss or whatever the roles are that you're playing. And you get to do that knowing that when those end, nothing really ends for you. That when the body goes, that you're still absolutely right here, that you're still gloriously everywhere, that just simply one of the infinite number of forms inside you has gone back into its invisible nature, and that you're still right here as all of this. People will say that you've gone. People will say that you came to an end, but you'll know the difference. You'll know it's not true. And you won't be able to fear anything. There is nothing that you can lose and nothing that you can gain here when you are already everything. Anything that manifests in the entire cosmos for the rest of forever is also going to be you. Every unique individual's ideas and thoughts, dreams, desires, goals, every human body, every plant, every snowflake, every grain of sand, every wave, every ocean, every planet, every distant star, the vast, expansive regions of nothingness, of empty space. It's all you. There is nothing else than you. And it's my role to kind of remind you of just how amazing you are. Because as human beings, we spend most of our time in satsang and in our awakening in general, trying to become Krishna or trying to be like the Buddha or Christ or any of these amazing sages. And really, it's my role to remind you that you are already that. They are also you. They are ways that you have shown up previously. This is your current latest form. And are you going to recognize how beautiful you actually are? And how do we come to understand the immensity of that? Can you ever fully embrace the immensity of that? I've never managed to, but I am so enjoying getting to know you a little deeper each time I encounter you. Getting to know you rather than my thoughts about you. This is the way you're showing up today. And tomorrow, the next hour, you'll be different. The whole universe will be different. You're constantly changing forms and shapes, never the same for 1 second. And there's something glorious there to be celebrated, isn't there? There's something wonderful and unique about you as an individual, but also to recognize fully your infinite nature. So how do we do that? How do we come to know what I've been talking about? How do we come to experience everything and everyone directly? First and foremost, our own self. How do we come to understand the essential nature of everything? How do we remember the all-knowing power that we are? How do we come to a clear and definitive seeing? Well, I can tell you only how I did it, and hopefully that will be of use to you. I began to recognize that there is no way for me to see what I actually am and come to know that with a conviction, with the with my focus on my phenomenal self. So pretty much everyone I meet is focusing on thoughts, their emotions, and their experience, and their phenomenal aspect, the things about them that are coming and going. And that's, serves a purpose for most of us, but we're usually doing that even when we've come to a path of awakening. So we're trying to discover what is not a phenomena about ourselves, which part of us is not a phenomena. And there's only two categories here. There is phenomena, objects, things that are coming and going. And there is that which is everywhere, which is infinite, that is not a phenomena, in which all these phenomena seem to arise. So there is no way to recognize your non-phenomenal self, your infinite nature, by focusing on what comes and goes. It's just not possible. When I really got this, that when I focused on my thoughts and my emotions and my experience, I would always feel finite and small and limited. And that the only choice I had in any moment was what I was actually focusing on. Then I began to devote more and more time to focusing on what I actually am, my non-phenomenal self, the noumenon, the awareness, presence, consciousness, self with a capital S, beingness, whatever we want to call it. The nothingness, the emptiness of being. And this isn't, okay, I've got to sit down and close my eyes and meditate for hours and hours a day. I tried that and it worked to a certain degree, but began to backfire. When I am out and about in the rest of my day after I finish my formal meditation session and some emotion arises, or I'm encountering another being, or some thoughts are happening, or an experience is occurring in my life, in a relationship, in my body, anything at all that's happening to me, where is my focus? And can I bring my focus to each day a little bit more back to the background of all experiences, that which is not a phenomenon? Can I bring more awareness to the awareness of this emotion? Can I bring my attention to the empty field and nothingness in which this experience with this other being is happening, the space between both of our bodies? Can I begin to notice that which is not affected by the pain happening in my body? And yes, there is also something affected and something that wants it to stop. But where is my focus? If that's the only choice I've got, am I making the most of this? And it's not, it's not going to be hard work. It's not going to be, oh my God, I have to get to a point where my whole waking state, my focus is on that which is constant and unchanging and effortless about me. That's never going to work. But we can get to a point where more of our focus is on our non-phenomenal self, the noumenon, than that which is moving and changing. And we're not discounting or discarding thoughts or emotions or experiences. We're not saying they're wrong. We just would rather prefer to experience them from the place of the real self. What's it like to know that you are the awareness rather than the thinker? So I am the awareness and thinking is happening. It's a very different experience to I am the thinker trying to get to the awareness. Totally different. And you can change that right now. Right now. You can begin to spend more time noticing that you are the noumenon, just checking in every now and again, whether you call it silence, consciousness, stillness, whatever you call it, the presence. how much of your attention throughout your day goes to that. And it's not about a time thing. It's not a time thing. It's not about how many clock hours you're recognizing that. It's not like if you have to work 16 hours a day, it's going to take you 4 times as long as someone who only has to work 4 hours a day to wake up. It's not like that at all, I'm glad to say. It's about when I do have some free time, what do I do with my attention on purpose? Where do I let it roam to, or do I direct it on purpose? Am I more interested in that which is permanent than that which is coming and going? Because, you know, one day everything that's coming and going is going to go. When this body goes, so does the emotions and the sense of experiencing and the thoughts. And that's not to instill fear, but just to kind of point out that we don't know when that's going to happen. So isn't it a good time now to kind of focus on what is the most important thing to focus on? And that's the only choice any of us ever have. And when I began to really get this, really deeply understand that I had the power in any moment to change my attention, just to even ask myself, what am I focused upon? This fear, this guilt, this shame might have to be here in my body right now. But do I have to experience it as someone, or do I have to, can I experience it as the emptiness of being, in which there's a body lovingly held, and then there's some guilt and shame happening in that body also lovingly held? This is immediate awakening, immediate. It takes you out of time and progress and process. And the more that you do this, the more automatic it becomes. And suddenly it becomes a habit. You didn't do anything different that day than you did any other day. Just the culmination of bringing your attention to what is most important. For me, suddenly it became a habit. I couldn't tell you when that happened. I couldn't tell you when I forgot how to focus on phenomena only. I just recognized after a while that I hadn't been suffering for quite some time. When some strong emotion came up inside and there wasn't anything that could contract around that emotion and focus on it only, he was like, that's different. When did that happen? No idea, still don't know. It doesn't really matter. Way before that becomes a habit, you won't be suffering. The very moment you put your attention on what is stable and permanent, it will be that much closer to it being a habit. And, you know, we're going to find that our attention has wandered and drifted back to some thoughts or something. And that's okay. If I'm determined to focus on the silence, to listen to the silence, and suddenly I find myself listening to thoughts, judgments, blaming myself, blaming someone else, what do I do about it then? If I listen to the thoughts about how I shouldn't have let that happen, if I listen to self-blaming thoughts and feel the frustration and anger and focus on that, where is my attention? Is it on the awareness or on the phenomenal thoughts and emotions? So mine's going to say, you shouldn't have let that happen. If you can just drop that, that's just another thought passing through your awareness. Doesn't need to be entertained. And you bring your attention back. What I'm talking about here is meditation, of course, in its simplest and most beautiful form, in the form where you can take it throughout your day. When someone's saying something to you that pushes a button and there's a response inside, a fiery heat of anger and all of that, can you let that fire happen? Bringing attention to the space in which the body and the fire and the other person is happening. I guarantee if you do that, the other person won't be able to continue. treating you the same way as they are in that moment. It has to begin to change and soften right there. If our attention stays on the emotion or the words that the other person is saying, then it will continue that same old experience. And your body is beautifully able to listen and respond and interact with other human bodies while your attention is on what is stable. It doesn't have to, you don't need to be focused on phenomena in order to be able to interact. Right now, as I'm speaking these words, my attention is on that which is stable and permanent. I'm not planning what I'm going to say. It's just happening inside the silence. And from that place, the words are coming from a different level, different energy. So instead of making awakening something that's going to happen in the future, can you see that it's happening now always? In any moment, if my attention is on what is real and stable, then I'll experience clarity and wisdom and peace in that moment. At any moment, if my attention is on what's coming and going, thoughts, emotions, experiences, judgments, blaming ourselves, all of that, unworthiness, we'll be experiencing a sense of not being there yet and trying to get somewhere. We'll be back into traveling and reaching a destination. If you can really hear these words, the immediacy of what's available right now for you, hopefully that is beginning to hit home. And the more time that you spend with your attention on what is real, the clearer reality gets, the more appealing it becomes, the more peaceful it begins to feel. The deep contentment starts to happen. First, when I began to focus on what was real, it just felt dull. Well, there's awareness, so what? I've always had awareness, no big deal. There's silence, I can hear silence. And the emotions that were coming and going seemed so much more interesting. It felt so much more enticing and seductive to be angry or to be someone that was feeling victimized or something like that. The more time I spent listening to silence, the more it began to reveal its secrets. This is heaven right here in this silence. That it is rich and infinite and deep and profound. But we have to be interested in it. The more interested we get in it, in terms of how much our heart loves it, the more it will begin to change everything about your life into a smooth and effortless flow. Everything that you've been trying to solve will begin to fix itself, right itself, with solutions that you could never dream up in your mind. Wonderful things starting to happen. People behaving differently towards you just because you shifted your attention. And you begin to smile more, you begin to laugh more, you begin to take some nice deep breaths. Your body will begin to relax. You begin to have more free time, more free energy. You begin to like yourself and respect yourself. You begin to have a sense of reverence for everything that you encounter and for everyone that you encounter. Some of those people that you encounter, you might prefer to encounter from a distance, out of your own self-respect. Some you will feel much more drawn to. But that will be stunningly clear, stunningly clear. Everything you need is inside you. And what if it came down to a simple choice in any moment? Where is my attention right now? Are you just letting these words happen while you're kind of immersed in the silence and emptiness? Or are you trying to make something happen with them? And if so, can you just drop that and just be here? And there is nothing more exquisite than that. So I have to kind of paint a picture of who you really are the best I can with words. And then hopefully I've begun to show you how simple that can be. Because the most common obstacle to that peace, that infinite peace of knowing what you are, unbreakable, unshakable conviction in what you actually are, is trying to think about it, trying to get to an end point in thoughts, trying to come to some final future moment where you are the awareness. And all you can do in actuality is to notice where your attention is right now. And for me, that was just the sweetest realization, the simplicity of it, that I could actually do that in this moment when I remembered without pressuring myself. And the more I did it, the more I fell in love with it, and the more I wanted to do it, the more I remembered. In this moment, I can check where my attention is. When I'm walking down a corridor, when I'm in the bathroom washing my face, when I'm listening to the phone ring, waiting for someone to answer. There's 1,000 moments in our day when we're not consciously involved in something, where we're, walking back to the car from the shop, that we can just take a moment, that use that time wisely to recognize the background in which all of this is occurring and appearing. I hope that I have instilled the simplicity of it. I hope I have destroyed any illusions of the complexity of it, because that is what will hold us back. Stop waiting for that future moment and see where your attention is right now. There isn't a future moment anyway, and even if there was, it wouldn't be any better, any more opportune than this moment right now that we have. Now is always the best time, of course. And as you begin to do this, more and more, you begin to get a sense of self-respect back, a sense of confidence and clarity, a sense of purpose, and perhaps most importantly for us all, a sense of passion, an excitement about life, an excitement about living, participating in all of this. Instead of just kind of drifting through each day lost in our thoughts and barely experiencing what's going on around us because we're so caught up in our own thought process. I'm a little bit passionate about trying to get across this message of simplicity, so hopefully I have achieved that.